in those 4 years that I've been in radio, I mean, starting from a varsity podcast and to a community radio station, moving to commercial. Oh my gosh, that was like my wildest dream. I didn't even have to go to SABC. I totally went and moved to an independent media house. It was something that I always dreamt of. I mean, since I was a child in high school, I would listen to Capricornfm and I would be like, this is where I want to be. And ending up there was one of the biggest things that could have ever happened to me as a person and in my career. Hey everyone, my name is Itumeleng Sebola. I am a radio news anchor at Capricornfm and I'm also a journalist. I read the news every Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. That's on Hlagani Shikwambana's show, which is called The Tailored Experience, and up to Thabo Sebashia's show, which is called Urban Lunch Experience. Growing up around my grandfather has taught me so much and has made me the person that I am today. My grandfather has shaped me so much, where he allowed me to be myself. I grew up in a home where I had parents who gave me an opportunity to be myself, to live for me and to do what makes me happy, basically. So I was allowed to explore anything that I wanted to achieve and anything that I wanted to go into. If I wake up today and I'm like, I don't want to do drum majors anymore, but I want to start going into latest soccer, they would say, okay, they'll go buy those soccer boots and allow me to go into it. And I feel that sitting with my grandfather and having him tell me that I can achieve everything or anything that I put my mind to is the one thing that has actually made me be the person that I am today, because a lot of people will actually direct you into a certain thing that they want you to achieve. But with him, he was like, no, whatever it is that you want to do, go into it, fall in love with it. If you change your mind tomorrow, it is still fine. You will find something else that you are in love with, something else that you want to do, and you will excel in it. Going into radio, it was actually never about radio. With me, I studied journalism, and while I was in school, actually in my final year, or rather before I get there, when I studied journalism, just after receiving my matric results, I've always wanted to study law. So after receiving my matric results, it is when I actually got to learn more, or rather when I was still waiting for my results, that waiting period, the whole festive season, I learned more about different things that Black families don't actually talk about. So growing up, they would say be an attorney, be a doctor, be a police officer, or something else that will be great for society. But when I was reading and I found that not only do I speak a lot or always research about things, but I love being heard. So when I found out about journalism, I was like, no, I'm actually going to study that. So in my final year, my classmate, Thabo Madalani, actually started a podcast where he was like, no, you know a lot about sports. You're the only girl in this class who always talk about sports. Specifically football. I was so much into football. Like I said, I grew up with my grandfather, so he would make me read those log standings just before I go to class, or before my transport gets to pick me up. He will say, oh, how does the log standing look today? How is PSL? How is EPL? All of those things. So I got to learn more about all of that. I got to learn to pronounce all those Spanish names. So when I was in varsity, a classmate of mine was like, no, actually become our sports anchor. And after becoming a sports anchor, after graduating, I actually got a job at a print media where I was writing. And a year later, I got an internship with the Department of Science and Technology, where I needed a placement to write science articles in Vanek. For me, it was Sepedi because I was here in the Limpopo province. So I got a placement at Radio TIF, That's where I started my radio journey. It's a community radio station. So that is where I actually got to explore more and be more of, when I got to Radio Turf, I actually moved from sports to going into news. So I became a news anchor and not a sports anchor anymore. So that's when I got to put out my journalism aspects and just be more of a news person on radio. And I've loved radio. Radio has taught me so much. It's the one instrument that was never shaken even after TV was there, online, and it is still there. It's still the one stream of communication that people listen to on a daily basis. So getting to know that people go to work listening to me, people come back from work listening to me, children in transports listen to me, that made me happy actually. Getting into radio was not easy because they say you need to have a radio voice. They say not everybody can be on radio. Not every voice can be heard on radio. You can go and learn to be on radio and they'll end up saying, because you do not have a radio voice, try being a producer, try working in technical. So what I had to learn is how to not read the way I speak. I have to have a voice that the listeners will listen to and focus on while they're listening to the news. A lot of people always say to me, you don't sound the same when you speak to us and when you read the news on radio. I'm like, that is not because I do that, but it's because when you're reading, you need to have a voice that is not just you speaking, but every station actually has a station voice. So moving from Radio Turf to Capricorn FM, I had to get to Capricorn FM and learn the radio voice that they're looking for, their own media house style, what they want. So I had to learn all of that, and I had to unlearn. Before I went to Capricorn, actually, I used to have the whole I know thing. You know, when you get to a place and you're like, no, I know what I'm doing. I know, but there are a lot of things that I had to learn. My editor would say, no, we don't write in the style, but we write in the certain one. We do not say it like this, but we say it in this way. So with learning all of that, I got to be a better person at doing what I love. I grew, and it actually shaped me into being in radio for like 4 years now. Almost all the radio stations that I know in the country offer internships or training platforms. So basically what you can do is just listen to different radio stations, learn how they do things, learn their style of material, learn the content that they have, because every radio station has its own content that you deliver to your listeners. They have their own style of doing things. So you can just listen to what a certain radio station does. And a lot of people say that they didn't get to, or they didn't have to study journalism or media to be in radio. But nowadays you actually have to, because times have changed. It is not just the voice that they're looking for or the talent. It is actually education. You are taught some of these things in school, but also when you get that training that a different media house or a different platform gives to you, you will actually have to have exactly what I said previously, that you need to have a certain style that a certain media house uses. You need to have a certain voice that you use to deliver a certain content to the people. So you just need to research. Like my editor always say, when you come to work, if you are going to work in the news department, you cannot come to work not knowing what's in the news today. Research on that, know what is happening, know who is trending, know what is trending. Even on Twitter actually helps a lot. You will find that Twitter is actually hashtagging the thing that is trending and that is making news. So you have to actually go research, follow a lot of social media platforms, the radio stations that you want to work for, the media houses that you want to work for. Follow them on social media, see what they are posting, see what is happening in those media houses, so that you are able to apply when there are opportunities that are open. I had one friend, Mavis. We are finishing like 11 years, no, actually 12 years this year together as friends. We've been friends since 8th grade. So I've had her as a friend since 8th grade, and I told her everything. She advises me. We're not in the same industry. She's an engineer, I'm a journalist, but the fact that I've been with her since I was in high school is actually very helpful because she knows me as a person that I am. And it's very important for one to not fall. This industry is a very cruel one. Anything that you do can either build you or break you. It can either make you or end you. So you need to know who you hang around with. You need to know where you go, and you need to know the minutes that you are in a certain media house, you represent that media house throughout. So wherever you go, whatever you do, you have the name of the media house written on your forehead. So people will just see me and see Capricornfm. So whatever it is that I do, I need to remember at the back of my head that I am representing that certain radio station. So I need to remember that whatever it is that I do not put shame to the station. I do not embarrass the people at the station, and I do not embarrass myself. So you just need to mind the people that you hang around with, and also get to think, what kind of people are they? Are they building you? Are they helping you grow? I mean, there are people that I had to let go because they were not helping me in any way. So it is very important to keep people very close to you that are going to help you become a better person. Okay, from my understanding, I didn't really do a lot of research regarding World Radio Day, but I've been celebrating it every year since I've gone into radio. And when I was still in school, we've learned about 13 February, which is the day that radio was developed. So every year I celebrate World Radio Day. I mean, this year I celebrated my 4th year, not counting when I was still in varsity doing a podcast, but I celebrated my 4th year in radio from when I started at Radio Turf. And this year I was finishing a year with Capricornfm, and yeah, it was very amazing. And I always remember that World Radio Day just reminds you of the people that have went out to make something that will be the voice of the people. Because I mean, a lot of people call radio stations, they want the news department, they want to tell them our roads are not proper, we do not have water where we stay, we do not have electricity, we haven't had water for like a month, our taps have been dry for like years, our electricity bills are not making sense. So radio is that voice that the community uses to get to different departments, to get to different people. Even departments use radio to get to different communities, to communicate the messages, to communicate information that is important to the public. So radio is one platform that it is used to actually be the voice of the people. And also people should just, even some people who come to you and say, I was scammed at this and this and that, and you call the police to say, this person has reported this, is there a case? The police will say, but we say it on radio all the time. These people don't listen. So radio is very important because a lot of information is passed through radio. And this year I actually celebrated World Radio Day. It was on a Sunday, if I remember well. I was actually at home. I didn't do much. I was not working. It was my weekend off. So I just went back because I save some of these clips that I read the news, I go back and I save them. So I just went back to listen to some of them to see if I have improved as a person and how far I have come, and also just to see if there is anything that I can improve, because there's always learning that you need to do. Every day is a new day to learn. So radio is very important. This is very sad because we worked for the same company. He worked for our sister station, Power FM, the late Bob Mabena, the Gemma. I loved him. He is one of the people that brought me up. I grew up listening to the Gemma all the time. From his old days, I would listen to Bob. I would always say Bob is radio. Like, his voice would just make you want to just not change the channel, because he was very good. He was everything. So if there is one person I would have wanted to sit with and have a conversation with or share a show with, I know that was like a big dream, because wow, he was a legend. So there was no way they would just put me and him in one show. But if there is a person that I would have wanted to share a show with or have a conversation with about radio and his upbringing and how he made it that far, would have been the big Gemma Bob Mabena. The Gemma Bob Mabena. And the other person would be, maybe a lot of people would say because I'm a huge fan, but yes, I am a huge fan of Bonang Natela. And her role in radio has also shaped me a lot, has impacted how I see radio, and it has also helped me to just see how radio is done. But just besides her being a public figure, she is a great radio presenter. Her voice just oozes something. Her confidence just makes you want to listen on also. But just besides from presenters, if there is one person who is in news as I am, it has to be a reporter from our sister station also, Ndaezo Netonje. He is a very good news reporter and he really does his work very well, and I really love his voice, plus the way that he reports, the way he presents his work when he is in the field and when he is doing his reports. He is just so good that if one day he would just come to camp, Dadzo, and just, give me a bit of training, I would definitely love that. He is amazing and I love his work. And yeah, that is all from me, Itumeleng Sebola. Like I said, you can catch me every Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. on Capricornfm. If you're in Limpopo, it's 96.0. Here in Polokwane, Turf. And if you are not in the province, you can also catch us on Audio Bouquet on DSTV. We are channel 884. And online, we are www.capricornfm.co.za. And for me, that is it. And of course, I am an empowered millennium.